We are going to be looking at Vanessa Bryant and also Demetrius Haley. We are going to be talking about what happens when people take pictures of other people who are deceased. Vanessa Bryant just got millions, but we're going to talk about how she was able to make that happen and what's in store for Demetrius Haley. Yeah. I had previously done a video regarding what happened with Vanessa Bryant. And it wasn't this sort of simple case where pictures just got taken and shared in the news or with the media and the family got upset. There was a little bit more to it than that. I'm going to go back to that lawsuit for just a few minutes because I want to point a few things out that you should take note of here. And then we're going to head over to Demetrius Haley's decertification because we want to look back at what that decertification document said that he did. First, let's go back and look at this. And I am not going to go through this whole lawsuit. There's another video out there that I've done that does speak to this whole lawsuit. But the main takeaways that I want to go over here is this invasion of privacy. That's really what they're talking about when they're talking about taking pictures of someone who is deceased. So she brought this action against the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the fire department, and these were the first responders who were on the scene. So you see the introduction here where it talks about the plane crashing, the helicopter crashing. Her 13-year-old daughter, I said 14, her 13-year-old daughter was on board along with her husband of nearly 20 years, Kobe Bryant. Okay, so once this happened, it says, based on a leak by law enforcement, the gossip and celebrity news site TMZ had reported that Kobe, a singular figure in the Southern California culture and a hero to millions around the world, had died, and onlookers were flocking to the accident scene. Okay. It says, as the sheriff's department would later admit, there was no investigatory reason for these pictures to be taken. However, let's go through what happened just to sort of bring you up to speed with why she was able to recover a total of 20 plus million dollars from what happened. And this was a previous settlement. And then this latest settlement that sort of wrapped everything up. It says within 48 hours, at least 10 members of the department obtained and possessed images of the victims' remains on their personal cell phones without any legitimate reason for having them. The gratuitous images also became a subject of gossip within the department as deputies shared them in settings that had nothing to do with investigating the accident. One deputy even showed off photos of the victim at a bar, identifying one of the individuals depicted as Kobe Bryant and bragging about how he had been at the crash site. Shocked and appalled, one of the bar patrons filed a written complaint with the sheriff's department. And that's really what sort of set off the investigation of the sheriff's department. Because here's what happened next. Upon learning that his deputies had taken and shared the gratuitous photos, which plainly violated the victims' families' constitutional rights to control images of their loved ones' remains, Sheriff Villanueva did not inform the victims' families, initiate an internal affairs investigation, or inspect the deputies' phones to determine whether or how the photos had been shared. The sheriff did none of that. He instead directed a cover-up, summoning the deputies to the Lost Hills station and telling them that if they deleted the photos, they would face no discipline. The deputies purported to accept the sheriff's offer, receiving a free pass in exchange for destroying evidence of their misconduct. And that is really the piece that I think sort of set this apart. Not only did they take those illicit photos, as it says here, it says he informally ordered their destruction to avoid the usual routine of a formal investigation in which everyone lawyers up. So that's sort of the background here of what happened and led up to this sort of idea that not only did they just take pictures, not only did they just share pictures, but you then had sheriff's department staff, the sheriff himself, telling people to delete the photos and we won't do anything else. We will just wipe everything under the rug. We won't say anything. We'll pretend like none of this happened. So there is no formal investigation. There's no record. Nothing is placed in anyone's files because they have deleted this evidence. Of course, we do have some records that show now what happened. So she proceeds to file this lawsuit, which is what I was just sharing with you, which is what I said is in an entirely different video where I go over the whole thing pretty much. She files this lawsuit. Now they've sort of wrapped things up. And again, these are pictures of her husband, Kobe Bryant, their 13-year-old daughter, Gianna Bryant. They get a total of $28.85 million. And this last piece, I think, was around the 15. Well, they had previously received 15 million. So they're now at a total of almost $29 million for this whole incident that happened. So now, how does this relate to what went on with Demetrius Haley? Because again, we have another another employee of a government agency who shows up, or in this case, is part of what's going on. This is not even a person who shows up to assist. This is a person who has actually caused some of the issues here. I want to go back over to his decertification document so we can see exactly what that document said. I can pull it up. This is from the decertification documents. And as you can see there, we've actually been through this before. This is actually all of them, really, the full package, except for Hemphill, which was added later. So this is from, you can see the statement of charges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to this section where they talk about him actually taking the pictures. And hopefully I can scroll down to that soon. Oh, I think I may have just passed it. Whoops, let's scroll back. Okay, here we go. On your personal cell phone, you took 2 photographs while standing in front of the obviously injured subject after he was handcuffed. In your Garrity statement, you admitted you shared the photo in a text message with 5 people, 1 civilian employee, 2 Memphis PD officers, and 1 female acquaintance. During the administrative investigation, a 6th person was identified as a recipient of the same photograph. Your actions place you in violation of DR 603, information concerning police business. It says, and this is what DR 603 says, it says, a member shall not communicate information relating to official police matters without prior approval or subpoena except to authorized persons. Well, this female acquaintance and civilian employee were probably not authorized persons. A member shall treat the official business of the department as confidential. So that last statement sort of sums it up. If you miss anything else, what it sort of says is this is all confidential unless we say otherwise. That would be the general rule. So now you have an understanding of what happened with Vanessa Bryant's case, where you had this cover-up that was in place and how much money he received. Now, granted, keep in mind that there is a value system that is in place. And let me talk about that for just a second. I went through and took a look at some other cases where families have had pictures of their relatives taken after they were deceased. There was one in 2012, a settlement for a crash that occurred in 2006 of a teenager who had been injured in a car crash. California Highway Patrol. The family wound up with $2.37 million, if I have my numbers correct. The pictures were posted all over the internet. Now, you know, once you put pictures on the internet, you cannot get them back. In Officer Haley's case, to his credit, we think those pictures did not go any further than those people that he shared them with. Hopefully, none of them shared them on the internet or shared them further. We don't know any of that information yet. But in this case, California Highway Patrol entered into this agreement where they wound up paying $2.37 million for pictures of a teenager who was killed in a crash that were posted on the internet. Then we had an autopsy photo of a toddler. A toddler. Imagine that, okay? I'm not going to get into the details of what happened because there was a whole nother story about the death of this toddler. But this comes from a CBS report that I saw. This was San Diego County. The parents received a $125,000 settlement. And this is a former prosecutor may have leaked these photos. And in this CBS article, it said, this is what the mom said. He said they took them home as mementos. Imagine someone else taking autopsy photos of your deceased loved one home with them as mementos. Like, what are you doing with them? This is not your family member, and probably in violation of some ethical guidelines there, even for attorneys, because I believe they're saying that this was a former prosecutor who did this. So there is a definitely arguments to be made that Officer Haley, Demetrius Haley, might not only be facing these criminal charges. He's already been through the charges with the police department and been suspended and fired. Now he's facing murder, kidnapping, assault, misconduct charges. There is now also the possibility that he could be facing a civil lawsuit because of the pictures that he took and pictures that he shared, not only with people who were in the police department, but also with someone who was a female acquaintance. So there you have it. We'll wait to see how this plays out, because it's not just Officer Haley who's on the line here too. You have an idea of how this works. What's going to happen is he is probably going to face a civil lawsuit, and possibly the department also may face a lawsuit based on these pictures. So we will see how this part of this plays out. There hasn't been a whole lot of conversation about this, but I wanted to bring this back up now, especially as we see what happened with the Vanessa Bryant case and the pictures involving her husband, Kobe Bryant, and her daughter. So I hope this brings you up to speed. Don't forget to like the video, add your comments below, because I can imagine this is a very touching topic. Again, it goes back to people wanting to feel like they, are in the know, and they have the pictures and they've got the receipts, and they're out here selling them to TMZ, sharing them with people who they should not be sharing them with. Very tough to talk about. Very traumatic for the families, I would suspect. But go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.